Dr. Thapelo Tselapedi, a political analyst, joins us now for a conversation, helping us make sense of day one of the special votes. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. 107 of the 435 voting stations meant to open remained closed today because of the many challenges, and the IEC has referred to these challenges as external factors. What's to be made of day one of special votes?
Hi, sorry about that.
Okay.
Look, I think usually we expected that there would be teething issues, especially with regard to the new sort of voting system, at least with the regional ballot. But I think some of these issues could have been avoided. I mean, this morning I went to vote as well. It was pretty empty, just a few IEC officials. There were no police, but of course later on the police came. So you see that obviously with a number of these things, there needs to be a lot of police presence. But I think of the first day as a sort of preparation run for the Wednesday national voting. And I think some of these teething issues that we saw right now, whether it's with the machines, whether it's with the officials coming late, they should be able to nip those things in the bud come tomorrow and Wednesday. So I think it's a matter of ensuring that the IEC does its work, and I think on our side as voters not to be too harsh, but I do think that some of these things are teething issues. But honestly, given obviously the history of the IEC, some of these issues should have been not been allowed to occur, especially the late coming of officials at these stations.
The IEC has moved to reassure South Africans that the envelopes used to cast special votes are indeed safe, and that your vote will be your secret. Of course, it's an important concern that has been raised on various platforms by some people who were questioning whether or not indeed it is a secretive vote, given the process that one has to take casting the special vote. What does it say? What does it indicate about the kind of political climate we're in as we head into elections? How are people feeling about political parties and really just trying to ensure that their vote will count?
Look, I think, you just reminded me about my voting again this morning, that I did not see, again, as an accountability measure, a number of political parties or the party agents to make sure that the votes are done or handled properly, to make sure that citizens coming in have a private space to vote for their preferences. So that was not done. I did it only in the presence of the IEC officials there. But certainly, I think the accountability mechanisms of the IEC are important, and it's not just an issue of IEC officials, but party agents must be able to play a role there. I think when it comes to the environment and whether citizens are safe at the voting stations, in terms of course, political parties will be there just outside of the voting stations. It's important here that the police presence is there and it is visible. I don't think it will be a nationwide thing. I think in different parts of the country, perhaps looking at KZN, spots of Gauteng as well, you may need a stronger presence of police. Perhaps, I guess, in the sort of urban spaces, you may need stronger policing. But I don't think the political environment is so bad that people, are saying that maybe political parties should not enter the premises of the polling stations, those sort of things. I think the political environment still allows for people to interact with one another in terms of voters, and of course voters and IEC officials, voters and the party agents. I don't think it's gotten so bad, but of course these are incoming reports. We are going to see how tomorrow is and then Wednesday is. I know recently the president spoke about some of the happenings in KZN as well. Mm-hmm. So one obviously has to be alert to some of the possibilities that might occur. And of course, given the high levels of competition among increasing political parties, obviously that does heighten the issue of security as well. So those are things certainly to watch out for.
As you speak about security, we know that in the Eastern Cape, as the IEC refers to some of the external factors which have resulted in disruptions and seen some of the voting stations not being able to open, that national government has deployed the SANDF because of the ongoing violent taxi strike there. How effective do you think the SANDF will be as, communities in the Eastern Cape are hoping that they will be able, over 100 voting stations were closed there, that they will be able to cast their vote with, the SANDF now monitoring the election process?
Look, on the situation of our Tambo and the Defence Force, you have to at least go back to COVID times when the president had also similarly appointed the security apparatus of the state in different parts of the country. And I think some of the handling of the security apparatus, their Defence Force and the military together with the police, did not quite work out, and it worsened some of the happenings around at least the COVID contraventions that we saw among citizens. So I'm hoping that in this instance, Defence Force is going to be a lot more sensitive when it comes to their presence in those places, especially in places like OR Tambo and different parts of the country as well. The sensitivity is around elections, and you would want that they are able to, even with their presence in those polling stations, in the voting stations, you would still be able to have free and fair elections, and that the environment, even though they were there, allowed for people to feel welcome and to feel like they could vote for whoever they wanted to vote for. So I think that there's hopefully some training on the part of the Defence Force when it comes to handling these elections.
We saw ANC Treasurer General Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa also casting her special vote today, and speaking to SABC reporters, she has expressed her confidence, and she said that the ANC will do well, and it needs an overwhelming majority, well over 60%. Given some of the polls that we've seen over the past few months, what is your feeling around what may happen, given the party's track record, given, that a lot of the young people have now registered to vote and will hopefully go and make their mark on Wednesday?
Look, I think we should be able to read her utterances, at least on 60%, as just, confidence around their electoral fortunes at this time. Certainly, there's a lot of, discussions around the end of the sort of dominance of a one-party democracy, the end of the dominance of the ANC in terms of the political scene. And I think the ANC is just sort of responding to that. And I think some of the polling that we've seen in a number of days, at least quite recently, is really them taking gaps in terms of what they see perhaps as a smell of blood, or a smelling blood that actually the ANC might lose. And you'd want to use the polling as a way to influence votes, to say, well, actually, this is the possible turnout. And so you might as well vote in this way. But I think given the sort of, heavy differences in the different polling, it's quite difficult to tell how this may go. But I don't think for 1 minute that Gwen was genuine in the sense that they're going to reach 60%. I last left the ANC nationally at 57%. And I think given the historical trajectory, you would see that the ANC has been losing sort of, the electoral fortunes between 3 to 5% every 5 years. And I suspect that's going to be the case. There goes my view around 50 or 51%. But everything else, we just have to see whether the pollings or whether the utterances of the ANC or any other major political party is really just a function of either confidence or function of trying to look into some of the gaps that may arise from the potential of the ANC losing a majority.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in on this discussion. We leave it there for now with Dr. Thapelo Tselapedi, who's a political analyst, of course, giving us a sense of how day one of the special votes went and some of the expectations as we go into day two of special votes tomorrow.